Okay, so we're going to go over time for a second, and then this should not take more than 5 minutes. Basically, just gonna look at the time. Hopefully I can see what time it is now. Yeah, so what we're doing, we're just basically, if you have like your own type of indexing that you have to do, you have a database. I'm just gonna open this up again. You have a database that you like going to be entering values in. You normally go like on a database, you would go normal database increment from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then when you remove a value, it removes that index, right? Then you need to, like in normal cases, add a key where you actually index, so that when you delete, it actually removes that row for you without basically losing the count on your indexing. Because if you need to like discontinue or delete number 20, then if that entire list moves down, then you have a problem of like then now, because there is no longer 20, then the 21 shifts down to become 20, and then so on. 22 becomes 21, and then now if you were linking those rows to something, then you have a problem. So normally you have a column that you index with, but with a database, basically like there are your Postgres and other databases that are like you, where you have no SQL, you have an opportunity of doing this on your own, just like Firebase. So then you just increment with this. So you'd have like just have an example value that you'd possibly have. Let's say now your DB input, I'm just gonna introduce a dynamic value, right? And then I'm gonna call you entry 1, right? Entry 1. Let's see, entry 1. And then with that entry, it looks like this, right? Dynamic value entry 1, that's what it looks like. And then you're gonna have your name as let's go John. Okay. Surname. Okay. D. John Doe. Okay. So now you want to enter this value. The next name is different, but you want to index. So now you have a potential of indexing using like 1, 2, 3, but the database that I've seen, that I've used, like Firebase, it doesn't accept you indexing using, basically it will end up being a list. It won't be a what you call this, a map anymore, right? Depending on what you call it, basically in your language, in the language you're using. So now this will end up being in the database looking like this. So I'm just gonna change that. Let's say now your value, that's the first value, right? Now let me just put that outside, over there. Yeah, that's your first value, and then this is your second value. So this might go more than 5 minutes because of this part I'm explaining here, but it's okay. So this one will be spelled a better John, right? Now John, DD this time, John Dodo. Yeah, that John was spelled wrong, but yeah. So now these are your values. Then it will end up being like this. So now, should you remove this value, right, where as you have another value here, you understand that now the index will drop down. So now the option you have for fixing that is doing something of this nature, right? And then having 1, and then having 0, like that, right? Now you're no longer using let me just see, make sure that it's clean. Yes, and then I will just open that up there. You're no longer using a list, right? You're using a JSON map, right? Some JSON data, but in most cases this will come in, even if you use this one as like a string, it will come in as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then it will end up like Firebase. It will end up looking like what we had before. When you pull it back from the database, it will end up looking like this, right? This then indexes again using 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You then have an issue later on. So to fix this, then I ended up coming up with a strategy where you're using the A's and B's instead, right? Then this, if you remove B, C will still be C. It won't change and then index down to a number. It will still be C. So to achieve this, right? So now we have these entries. We wanted our database to look like this. I'm just going to comment this out, right? I then had to come up with like an incrementing strategy for this. It might be there already, like some library already built, like especially in the Python space and all that. I'll do this in Python and in Dart, and incrementing what you call function. So you just take the last value and then you increment it. But to get the last value, you still have to do what? You still have to what you call still have to have proper sorting, right? So then I had to create this one as well. So I'm printing both of them here. I could have just because I'm gonna use it here, I had to name it first and then use it, but I could have just printed both of them directly in the print statements. So how would I do that? I'd print this one here, and then this one would be last, right? Then I can remove that initializing of that, just so you understand what's going on. So you just have your list. I have a list open. So now when they come back from the database, you might have an issue where they're coming back, and then after they come back, they are not in order, right? The JSON is not in order. It has happened before with the work I've done before on Dart, basically, and Flutter, where it's not in order. So to make sure that that is in order, you first have to sort it, right? I had to create a custom sort for that, sorting using ABCs and making sure that it increments the way, it sorts the way I need to sort, because the way I calculate it goes A, B, C, D, and then we'll go A, A, and then A, B as it goes, and then move on. If it's going to be on B, it's going to be B, A, and then B, B. So you're going to see that in full here when I run this this app, right? This script, and then I have the same thing here in Python. Okay, so I had loaded it already. I hope it's gonna be there, or it's not gonna be there. It's fine. I'll just get it just now because I already have it done. So that's fine. So let's look at this one first. First, when I look at the sorting, we know why we're doing it. We're gonna first look at the sorting. I don't know what the time in is. It's at 6 minutes. Okay, this is gonna go 10 minutes then. Okay. We first sort, right? So let's increment. Sorry, let's sort our list, right, using the AB method that we've created. So first of all, you see we get the length A, and then we get length B, right? So now we're sorting the list. So we need to receive a list to sort it at first. So you're gonna remove first all of the keys. So in this particular what you call language in Dart, to remove the keys from this, basically from what came in from the database, you would use something like, let me just uncomment that for you so that it seems like something you would be able to use, right? So if you wanted the keys from there, you just say I'm just going to use dynamic again. I could have used var dynamic, and then you can just say keys equals to, you can just say entry 1 dot keys dot to list, right? Okay, this is Flutter in Dart, of course. So here you can get the list. We're gonna use this after, because we have A and B. We're gonna use it just to increment, but for now we're gonna use the main list, right? But next we're gonna use this one because I've created a list here of keys, right? So from there, we have our custom sort, right? You get your list in, and then you use the functions basically of what you call this, of Dart, to work on this basically. So if you noticed, the important part is this one here, right? The compare to. You don't see it set anywhere else because okay, never mind that stuff telling you stories there. It pops up from time to time, but yeah, we're gonna see when we run. Okay, so then this, okay, literally written as it's written there, like my comment over there. If the length are the same, compare the strings, right? So this is the important one, a dot compare, right? So this a dot compare, if you see where it comes from, it comes from there. So you take your input list, right? You use the sort function, and then after using the sort function, you pass these two parameters to that sort function. So it's like it returns those two for you, and then you are getting like the length almost of every as you go of every each value basically in here, right? So then you use this part, say compare length first, right? Length A is not equals to length B, right? then return length A minus length B, right? So this then helps us as we go. Basically, this then helps us to sort this list that we have here and this list that we've created here. And then we go to the increment part, right? Then it returns, after that it will return the list, right? So the process of sorting is here, this part here. Just gonna collapse it, and then the list is over there after being sorted. So it sorts the list and then it returns the same list after being sorted. So now the increment part is over there. So now we're incrementing. Let me just collapse what I'm not using. Okay, so it looks cleaner. Okay, so it's not a lot. There's the increment part. The increment part will pass the string in, right? The string. So now if it's number last, it would be like maybe AB, and the one that I have at the bottom, it would be B. So it wants to increment that to the next value according to the way the system we have of incrementing, right? So you still use length, input length beside the length of the string. So in the case where it's just one, it will be just the one. So then last character, input code unit at. So this code unit at. So these are functions of string built into what? Built into dot, right? And then you use here the if else statement, right, of comparing the values basically between what the next what you call, moving on to the next character. So this here that you see here, like the ASSCII value of Z, right? That's what you're looking at over there, right? And then last character, so you're just looking at those, and then it has to move on to A if it's that character, right? So that's what you are doing there. So this entire operation here is to increment what alphabets linear. You have another way of incrementing. Remember, alphabets can increment in a lot of ways, but this one works for me. Okay, so I use this then to increment. So let's just run it quickly and then see, because we've gone way past the time. It's like 12 now, going to 15. I guess it'll be 15 maybe, or 20. But yeah, so now if you check from what we have here, because if I explain for too long, I do have the code. I think I'll post it after on GitLab or GitHub. So it's over there all the way, ending up at DB, right? Starting from A, ending up at DB. This is what this sorted looks like. And then the increment, so that part that you see here, this part here is this one, right? And then we have this one, the increment after that, right? We increment this exact output basically, because if we incremented this one, it would take the last one, it would increment X instead, right? It would give us something that's already here. It would probably give us a B, right, if we didn't increment. So now let's increment this one. So now if you're entering the next value, you'd use the incremented value and then pass that to your database. So let's use this one now, this keys. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna pass it here, and then we're gonna pass it here. What's the expected output? Right here we expect two values sorted, A and B. When I move B to improve this, the proof of sorting, when I move B to here, and then when I keep A here, right? Let's see if that's clean enough. Okay, that's clean enough. It agrees. So now ideally, if you if you have this list without sorting it, it will be it will be BA, right? But here it's gonna come out sorted, and it's gonna give us the next value. Okay, let's see if that works. If we did everything okay. Okay, we have A, B, and C, so which means our code works perfectly. So that's how you do that. That's how you create your own incrementing when you're using what you call maybe like a SQL-less database. Like I haven't used Postgres that much, but I know that it definitely works with using the real-time database from what you call this, from Firebase. And then with this one, I was gonna show that in Flutter as well, but the time is gone now. But there it is in Dart. So just to reach 15 minutes, go 15 minutes 30. Let's do what? Let's do I'm just gonna grab, because I have it done already. I don't know which space I have it done in, but just see flashing a little bit, so I'm just getting it, and then I will just show it. a split second. I use the same data exactly, but it's in Python. Okay, so we're gonna expect the same results in Python. And the nice thing is this: even if you skipped a value, it will still bring back the last one. It will still sort everything and bring back the last one. That's why it works so well. Okay, so we have the same. We have sorting, right? We're using a lambda, sort and lambda. Those are the big parts in this one, and then length normally from is normal from Python. And then we're incrementing, right? With the increment, there's nothing too major except for the character there, the order and the ORD and the char. So, and then the length over there, right? Those are the things that might look like, oh, what is that? But then it uses the same, what you call this, the same method exactly. If you see there, the SASCII value of Z, right? It looks at that, and then that's where it determines where to go next, right? So let's just close that. No, so I'm not good with time, so it's 16. So we're gonna close that. We're just gonna run it, just see what output we get. Same thing as the last one, DC. So just to show that even if you have some value missing, so I'm just gonna go they say now you've removed an entry, right? If you've removed an entry, that means at no, should be on the running. So maybe at W, you've removed W and you've removed those two, right? So you're still expecting it to give you the last value and still give you the next value, right? So it still gives you the last value and the next value, even though you've removed something in the list. So you could remove all of them and be left with these two. You will still get a proper output from your, let's say you've removed everything, right, in the DB. For some reason you have only 3 values left, you would still be able to get your next value. Simple enough, right? Okay, so meaning that if you made an order, you're okay. An ordered link, you're okay. So this is in Dart, Flutter, and it's in Python, done. So in some future lessons, I'll have it maybe Dart, Python, and maybe Angular and something else. But yeah, that's it for this one. So these are gonna be like a lot more every time I take a break, go over time, and I bring something like this. Hopefully they're gonna be shorter. Yeah.